Good evening. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm your host, Ellie. And I don't know why my opening didn't show. I think I'm having technical difficulties with my internet loss with the first show. Um, so I'm going to have to check and see what's up. But wow, we've got a lot of news today, and then we're going to start off with um, Israel Navy delivers decisive doom to Hamas, attempted to infiltrate by sea. Now, this is talking about their submarines that they've now pulled in. And me and William talked about this last night on the show. And more than 1,400 Israelis were killed, many more injured, still others kidnapped back to Gaza by the terrorists. And as we've seen today, there is videos coming out, and I'll probably get to a few of them as we go tonight. Um, they're in the tunnels. And as I've mentioned, they have been blasting the tunnels out. Now, the Israel forces with Netanyahu has decided maybe they need to back off and infiltrate the tunnels to rescue hostages. Are they there, or did they film it there and then move them? Um, there is over 100, so there's only so many places you can hide 100 hostages. Are they separated out in different areas? Is some in the tunnels? We don't know just yet. Um, Anybody here on the vote? Um, Karen, have they do they have a vote? I seen one earlier, and they keep voting Jeffries. We don't need Jeffries as our House Speaker. That's Democrat. Um, and Pelosi sitting there gloating and smiling like a Cheshire cat because she knows the Democrats are well formed. What the heck is going on with the GOP? Why are they so in chaos? Why can't they just all come together? We need a very strong Speaker of the House. Like, I was hoping Scalise, but now we're looking at Jordan. And is he going to be able to bring them all together? That is what is concerning me, is bringing the GOP together and not letting independent side with Democrats to bring in Biden once again. That's a scary thought. But when we see Nancy Pelosi and Schumer and Schiff all sitting there gloating and smiling, you got to wonder if they aren't planning this, and they're starting to get to the 18 to 20 GOP members. I don't know if it's by threat, blackmail, or just them talking to them to get them to side with the Democrat Party. What is going on with the GOP? Wow. So um, Hamas stole aid from the UN, and the UN is rushing to cover this up. The United Nations Relief and Work Agency for Palestine refugees located in Gaza was robbed recently, with a large stockpile of fuel being taken. Now, according to the UN, which put a statement out on Monday, trucks um, from the Ministry of Health and from the de facto authorities in Gaza removed the fuel and medical equipment from the organization's staging area. Who are the de facto authorities in Gaza? That would be Hamas. Though the UN agency is very careful not to mention them by name. Why? Because they have long been allies. Not surprisingly, soon after the thread was posted, it was deleted. And what it said was Hamas stole fuel and medical equipment from the UN in Gaza. The amount of fuel stolen is enough to power Gaza's water facilities for 6 days. Hamas does not care about the people of Gaza. The water isn't going to the people of their own people, which they're holding hostage at the ports to either get into Egypt or get into Jordan or even up into Syria. They're blocking it. They're blocking the aid. In other words, Hamas is robbing humanitarian aid to the Palestinian people. There's no reason to give them anything until we eliminate Nazi Hamas. Really, is that what we're thinking? The chances that stolen fuel will be used for anything but helping Hamas combat operations are essentially zero. Hamas has long stolen humanitarian aid, water, food, clothing, money for its own purposes. They don't put it into their hospitals, their schools, their community, even aid to the people to be able to get food into the Gaza. And then now they're holding their own people hostage in ways, not letting them in. And as we've seen today, Egypt and Jordan said, no, we don't need them. We don't want them into our country because we don't know if it's Hamas or not Hamas. They're men and they're women. Not only that, they teach their children to hate. And their children will only hate a Jewish community. Now, my thing is uh, this is um, this is not a racial issue. This is a of in the mind, in the mind of what's going on, even over here in Harvard and other colleges. They're looking at this as we just have to do away with the Jewish people. Now, Jewish is of a racially born um, uh, people, but they don't look at them like that. They look at them as the enemy. They look at them as uh, um, like what is Hamas and Palestinians? Is this a what a is this a race or is this people of a color or a born of a racial basis? Boy, I'm really blowing this. Um, and we have to look at this now because what William said yesterday, and I really agree with him. Because what are we going to do with the Palestinians? And this is what Jordan and Egypt and other places are refusing to take the refugees. Why are they refusing? Because they don't know who's Hamas and who's not, and so the others have to suffer. And then when they stay there, then they're held at the border, not by Hamas, not letting them into countries to be a refugee status. They're holding their own people hostage. Wow. That really got to me when I started hearing that because these are people that were dancing in the street in support of them. Now they're saying, "Oh, we're going to hold you hostage to get our way." I thought they were the people that support you. If you don't have the support of the people, your whole cause will quickly die. Um, uh, oh boy. One of the biggest thing I found very interesting, and I kind of paused on this because I really have to think on this, and because we're seeing thousands. This happened in San Antonio, Texas, outside a non-governmental welcome center for migrants. And they interviewed Luis Gomez, a Venezuelan migrant, who says he just wants to go home. Hundreds of migrants along with him, um, hoping to leave the city for other parts of the United States and assigned that resources available. Hundreds lined up, and they were given the option of all these buses. You can go to DC, you can go to New York, you can go, and they looked at that and what they're hearing from people in all these cities is they're sitting there homeless on the sidewalks. They said, "What happened to the American dream? Where's the American dream?" And they don't even want to do these transportations to these cities because they have no relatives, no sponsors willing to fund their travel expenses. And they say what they're finding out is these their travel expenses or their funding for these sponsors are all cartel. So that they sell themselves to the cartel? Do they go homeless? There's no work. There's nowhere for them to go for cover or a housing, nothing that they were promised. And so um, Gomez is looking at this like, where's the American dream? It's gone, even to us. And this is something he mentioned. Even the American dream has been robbed from the Americans because of this administration. And he says as he asks a lot of questions and with other migrants that have been here for a very long time, some for a year, 2 years, they're living on the streets. And he said, have you gotten a job? No. Did you get your car? No. Did you get money? No. Did you get a place to stay? No. They were all brought up here under false promises, he said. Now, hundreds of them just want to go home. Wow, isn't that's very touching if you think about this, folks, because they came up here for a promise on a flyer given out by um, Christian people, they say, uh, people that were signing them up to hit the road and take the trek. Those, hey, we got you. You jump on the train and make it to the American dream. And no American dream. When you look at a migrant that got here a year ago, 2 years ago, I even seen in the article 4 or 5 years ago under Trump, and even 10 years ago, that are now trying to find a way back to South America. And because they owe the cartel, they're not going to get there. No American dream. No American dream. And he vows, him and these hundreds that's going back, that they're going to start warning people to say, this is a scam. This is a scam for what? And, so I looked into it, and I started looking into my friend in Tijuana, and I said, what's going on down there? And she said, they're looking at now that they're going to be used as slaves, worse than what they were where they come from. They said they could have went further out and homesteaded and grew their own veggies and did their own thing and could have made it way better than they could have living in a tent or living on the streets of New York. So where's the American dream? Oh boy. I could have a lot of uh, I could have a lot of comments on that, but who promised? Yeah, I like William. Who promised them? According to them, it was Obama administration, and it was um, the Biden administration. Under Trump, the borders were closed, so they weren't allowed really to come up here freely. So they waited. They waited until they seen the flyers starting to come out. And Karen, we posted one of these flyers quite a few years ago under Obama, I believe, going into Trump when we first started. And it was like, why are they promising these people this when they can't even they were even promising phones. But then the Obama phones came out and everybody got these Obama phones. And then, they came across and they came in on trains and they were sent to Christian charities. Remember the Obama cages? Oh, how cruel, we thought. Oh, and then when it went into Trump, oh, it was even worse. Why are we putting these people in cages? Why are we putting the kids in cages? That was started during the Obama administration, and we're still doing it today. Why, if they're so free, why are we putting them in cages to sleep on top of one another before they can even be processed? Does that tell you that it's closed? No, it just tells you that there's so many coming through at one time that they should have realized. I mean, if you're gonna, Karen, tell me, if you sold everything you had and you and your kids decided to move to Canada and you hear that it's free everything up there, and you get up there, how long would you last when you find out you're going to live on the streets? How long would it take you to come back? Me, it wouldn't take very long. It'd take a day or two. After sleeping on the streets, I'd be saying, no, I'd be looking for someone of authority to say, where's the stuff? Where's the free stuff? Well, no one's really asking that till now. Now they're starting to ask, where is the free stuff they were promised? And now by the hundreds. Now, hopefully by the thousands by the end of this month, that they'll start realizing when it gets cold and places like Colorado or Washington State or even Washington, D.C., all the way to New York and Martha's Vineyard. When it gets cold, are they going to want to sleep on the streets in the snow? Well, recently New York flooded and it flooded out the migrants. So not only are they wet and cold, there's nowhere to go. Wow. See, Karen says not long at all. Karen, I would go 2 days, 3 days before I'd start looking for something different. But why aren't they going back? Well, I've been reporting for the last few years they are going back by the hundreds, some even thousands of leaving. They got tens of thousands coming in, and they got thousands going out. And they look at it, and when asked, oh, well, those with visas are those that go back and forth to work. So they're under the impression that there's still work. But as one of the reasons why I left California, there was no work for even my kids if they graduated. There was 2 or 3 positions open for 1,000, 2,000 people applying. And when I seen out here that there was hundreds of jobs, we came out and instantly there was jobs. See, I think that these migrants thought they were coming to the American dream of a job and a house and a car, money. And now that they got here, they're saying, where is it? Where is it? Where's your promise? Well, a promise was on that piece of paper only. And it's really sad because it's not just horrible migrants coming across our borders, but we've got real families that are hoping for the American dream. and they find out, well, it's not happening. And they say more, like 80% of what's going back are the families, because or men coming up here to look for work to send money back to their family and the countries they came from. More what we're seeing on the border is um, China spies, Russia, those for Iranians, Pakistanis, Afghanistan's, a terrorist. Just in the last couple months, we have gotten close to 1,000 of them that were on a terrorist watch list. So we got terrorists trying to come into our country, and that's I think what we're going to start seeing more than the families coming up here for an American dream. And why do the terrorists want into our country? Well, we know they're going to infiltrate, and I've pointed this out before on different shows where they're getting they're infiltrating the gangs, they're infiltrating different parts of the city to set themselves up for an uprising, especially Muslims. Look at Dearborn. Wow. So, all right, I'm going to move on because I got a lot of news today. Um, um, U.S. B-2 bomber to make a rare landing in Korean Peninsula. And this is odd. And South Korea said it's a rare landing in Korea Peninsula this week to showcase an ironclad commitment that the U.S. is showing to not only to North Korea, but to China. And that's what they announced on Monday. The Air Force bomber will also conduct a pair of flyovers during Seoul International Aerospace Defense Exposition between Thursday and Sunday of this week. These flyovers are to demonstrations of static displays, including the landing for the B-52 on the peninsula and how quick they can land and take off. To promote peace, they say, stability, prosperity in the Korean Peninsula. Now, I'm not sure if they're really going to get this in South Korea, but they're flying from South Korea over Taiwan, over Japan, and then back again. So it's showing North Korea a force that no, don't join up with China to try to go after Taiwan. Is it working? We don't know. But we've seen that Jinping is meeting with Putin again. And so we're seeing that every month and a half or so, Putin and Jinping, whether it's them meeting up together or someone from the embassy or someone in power that are meeting up to make decisions. Decisions for what? Now, we know Iran is meeting up with Hamas and Hezbollah and others for where Israeli seeing some of the missiles that have got Iran on them or symbols of Iran. So are the ones coming from Hezbollah. But then when we look over at China with Putin and then North Korea, what is going on? Are they planning the Taiwan attack, or is China going to give, like Iran is? China and North Korea give Putin more firepower. Well, as we have found out with Ukraine, he has been going. He went to the UN. He came to the United States. He went to NATO. He went to parts of Europe. He went to Australia. He went to Canada. He's been all over the globe begging for military equipment. Not only that, but when he gave up on military equipment with these places, he asked for humanitarian aid. What's that tell you? Because we are seeing humanitarian aid for Hamas as being used for military equipment. We see it over and over again with these communist to socialist countries or third world nations. They're taken, and we've known this for a long time since Haiti. When Haiti, the Haiti people, when they were uh, taken by the earthquake and humanitarian aid moved in, then we seen the UN, the fake UN, move in, grab the humanitarian aid food that was on the ground, also the money, and sent it back to the soldiers because they need it to keep up their strength and to get military equipment. So now, what I'm seeing with Putin, what Putin is saying, that Zelensky is close to a ceasefire. And then, my question to William yesterday was, well, I heard Poland is going to move in and take Ukraine. They've been saying this for a very long time. So, what will Ukraine do when Poland moves in? Are they going to claim that they invaded and then the war starts with Poland and Germany? Or are they going to blame Putin for getting under the skin of Poland? We've seen this throughout history for hundreds of years where Ukraine goes back and forth. Either it goes to Europe or it runs to uh, Russia. Well, they're picking on us. We need your help. Help us destroy them. Now they have to make the choice because both are saying no more. And coming to find out, we have it's still corrupt. Ukraine is still corrupt. And then we hear that North Korea is sending arms to Russia for the Ukraine war. Do they really need it? And they're according to North Korea, yes. Russian ship linked to military transport networks have collected cargo from North Korea and delivered it to an apparent Russian military port on multiple occasions over the past 2 months. Now, this is about when North Korea started really supporting Putin and having talks with him. So, since then, we're seeing trans- transport networks that have collected cargo from North Korea and delivered to an apparent Russian military port on multiple occasions. So we know that now North Korea is supplying weapons, just like we've seen with Iran. The same thing with transporting weapons up to Hamas and Hezbollah. And we're getting to a point in war history that we got BRICS, we've got NATO, and everybody is kind of choosing a side. And if Israel needs weapons, they got the U.S. and they got uh, a few others that's willing to pitch in and give them what they need. And the same way with Taiwan. But then when we look at Hamas, then we've got Iran and China and Russia and Russia with Ukraine. Okay, then they're going to move the weapons over there. If it's China, they'll move them over there. If it's North Korea, they'll move them over there. So really, if we, William, I don't know, I should ask you this last night. Is the world split 50-50, where 50% of the world is like a terrorism to 50% of people that just want to do the right thing? And I know humanitarian aid is something really, really big, folks, because we give it to all the third world countries. We did it for Somalia, and it helped if it's used in the right way. But when we are sending military aid in the form of humanitarian aid, that's when it's wrong. And that's what's happening. And we're catching these um, communist countries and socialist countries using it just for that. Like with Hamas, how come they didn't use the humanitarian aid to fix up their hospitals, build better schools? Because they have a hatred for Jewish. So they're not going to spend their money on humanitarian aid when they can use it for military to try to take out Israel. Wow. William, I really do think that they're delusional on this. Even North Korea, what's North Korea going to get out of um, sending anything to Russia? It's not, they don't get anything. And what about Iran? They're going to keep sending, keep sending, keep sending, but to a country that's not strong enough to hold its own, you're only going to see wasted military equipment. And we said what? We sent them a bunch of tanks, they're all gone, blown up. And then now we're starting to see guns from Ukraine now in the hands of Hamas. They were meant for Ukraine, but now we're finding them in the hands of Hamas. Well, doesn't Ukraine need them? Or have the globalists decided that, you know what, we're done playing in Ukraine. Let's go play in Israel for a little bit. What happens when they're tired of Israel? Is it going to be Taiwan? And what we're looking at now is whose side do we choose? Do we choose the side of what we think is good that's actually corrupt, or do we choose a side that's corrupt because we know they're corrupt? What's the moral choice? That's kind of where I'm at. And I think that's where the people of the American people have to decide now. But we don't have no choice when it comes to aid, because we got US aid. Our tax money goes to aid, and then it's up to the State Department, the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, and FBI, CIA, NSI, NSA to decide where the money is going to be proportioned to. Now, there's a whole bunch of countries that get this US aid or this aid, but there's that little bit left where we have Democrats deciding where the aid is going to go to. Is that what's being flipped over to military aid? We don't know, because the State Department won't be honest enough to let us know. And how we know this is because when we asked Ukraine, give us your facts of where this military equipment went, where the humanitarian aid went to, and where the military aid went to. Oh, don't worry about that. We're keeping track of it. Well, now that we finally got a good look at it, we're finding, it wasn't so right. And so now when we look around the country, we're seeing the same thing happening. And lo and behold, the Clintons come out and say, oh, don't look at that. I don't know if y'all noticed that. Once we start exposing it, then Hillary Clinton came out and in support of Hamas in a way. And we have Bill Clinton come out. Why? Who's letting the Clintons out of the cage? I mean, I thought I had the key. I'm teasing, but I thought, I really thought I had the key on this, and they were all locked up. Well, somehow someone let them out the back, and now they're loose again. So here comes Hillary Clinton with her facelift and their Luciferian ways. And look at what we're looking at once again. If we looked at the 2016 election and what Hillary was doing, we're seeing it 10 times worse now. Somebody lock her up and give me the key again. Man, I just don't know. Yeah, lock them up and give me the key again. I know the Clintons. I say so many times, I sleep with these people. I do, because I don't let a day go by if I'm not looking into something they're doing, or their Twitter, or their daughter's Twitter, or their daughter's married to SOROS. I can't say it because I'm not sure if I could say it yet. I know there's other things we can't say. And we know of him with the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, is moving towards a horrible direction. Now, AOC, anybody listen to AOC lately? She's like, no, forget about the cows. Let's just get rid of the cars and the gas. And yeah, and there's no joy to the world. The cars, the bars, and the world. Yeah, we all got 12 years to live. Now, even NBC is looking at, wait a minute, you said in 2015 we only had about 8 years left. Isn't that what I said? And they're saying, we don't have much longer. No, 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 she said, we've got 12 years. Okay, Bernie Sanders Jr. That it's 8 years, 12 years, 10 years, 8 years, 6 years since the 70s. Now he's got AOC on the cause, and forget about the cows. So they fart. We need to get rid of the cars, and we just need to get rid of oil. It's nothing about cow farts anymore or burps. They don't even want to talk about that no more. They're just wanting to get rid of fossil fuels. Wow. Illinois is rough, folks. I got to say, Chicago is pretty crime ridden, but there's still a lot of great people in Illinois. But then you hear an Illinois landlord charged with hate crime for stabbing a 6-year-old Palestinian boy to death. Really? Because he was Palestinian. A Plainfield Township landlord is accused of killing a 6-year-old Palestinian American boy and stabbing that boy's mother because they were Muslim. I mean, that isn't the way to react, folks. The Muslims have been doing this, and they came over here and to Dearborn, and it's a no-go zone. But if you look at the UK, they started using, because they can't have guns over there. They started using knives and swords and axes. Boy, the axe thing that sounds like creepy horror flick. But his name is Zuba. He now faces several charges, including 3 counts of first-degree murder. Don't do that, folks. It was he one that they paid him a lot of money to go in there and kill somebody? Did he do this on his own? It doesn't really say. And during even his first court appearance, prosecutors argued he was a danger to both the boy's mother and the general public. Are we demonizing both parties? Now, if they are Hamas, if they're Palestinians and they are Hamas, their chose. The 6-year-old boy was probably, if it was hardcore Palestinian, been programmed to hate anybody that's Jewish, and that's the way they're raised over in Gaza. So did he? I almost heartbroken by this. A 6-year-old child who died after being stabbed 26 times with a military style knife. And he said he couldn't let the Muslim fears or Arab and Palestinian communities in our countries with hate-fueled violence because he knows it'll grow. Well, see, that's the whole thing that William pointed out is, what do you do with the Palestinians after the war? Because Egypt won't take them. Jordan won't take them. Nobody wants to take these people because there's always that chance. And when they're raising their kids to hate the Jewish population, then this guy thought, stabbing a child 26 times would stop the next generation of hate. Will it? Everything's such in chaos. And I look at this and I'm like, I don't think it's going to stop the hate until we teach the kids that, the Israel and the Jewish people have sent humanitarian aid into Gaza. They are taking care of Palestinians, but when we've got them teaching hate at such uh, uh, early age, by the time they're 15 and 16, they're ready to be in an army to kill anybody in Israel. But then when you switch it and you go back to Israel, yeah, they do say that they don't like Palestinians, but they help them. Boy, this is a war that has brought out the worst in both parties, in both sides. It's brought out the worst and what Hamas does, and it's brought out the worst, like this gentleman that just stabbed this little boy because he was Palestinian. Wow. And we've even got Harvard and some of these other schools that they don't allow. They know who's Jewish. They found out through the office. Well, who in the office gave them that info? So now they're terrorizing these students that are Jewish descent to hurt them and to get them to leave. Why? So they can have the whole college to themselves? That sounds like, and I hate to bring up what me and Lee brought up with Baraboo, that white supremacist high school that does the whole High Hitler thing. And 98% of the school is a white supremacist. Is that what we're seeing in the colleges? And this is something with the CRT and the new movement and being taught by Chinese professors as well as communist professors to teach the kids that Israel's a bad place. Now, is Taiwan going to be the next bad place to these people and these kids? Why are these kids changed it's almost like a Munchausen syndrome brainwashing? What's going on? And I watch a lot of these Karen videos and I'm like, oh my God, there's like hundreds of them. What happened? We got to wonder about the water. We got to wonder about what are they spraying on us? Something has caused these people to go crazy. I don't know. I'm going to figure this out, whether it's a brainwashing or if it's something in the air, something in the water. Well, we need to find out what's happening. Look at Philadelphia. Susan and Karen's real close to there. Look at how weird the people are. Zombies, they claim on the street. Same with San Francisco. When I went out there, I was like, I didn't know whether to be mad, appalled, or feel sorry for these people. But there was hundreds just lined up on the streets everywhere. What happened? Was it the job loss? Because there's working homeless that they're working, they have jobs, but they have to be homeless because they can't afford the rent. All part of the plan. Now, James Comer is demanding to find out why Biden kept secret, sensitive documents related to foreign business or his business dealings in his home and offices. See, that's what now that, don't look at Biden documents and don't look in the garage. Look at my car. Don't look at what's in the garage. How many documents have been kept, sensitive documents related to foreign business dealings for all these years? Because he was taking documents when he was a senator and he never should have been allowed those. And is James Comer right? when he demands to know why this is happening. Biden possibly kept sensitive documents related to the Biden family's business with foreign nations. This could reveal new layers to the saga, especially as former presidential Donald Trump is currently being indicted for a similar offense. As detained in an overnight committee, bank memorabilia, and impeachment inquiry, evidence suggests that Biden may have used certain members of the family, uh, particularly Hunter Biden, to benefit of the family and himself, and hid hundreds of documents, not only in his garage, in his home, in his office. Uh, who knows what happened to his Senate office or the vice president office? Where did all those documents go? And now that there's been a subpoena for him, Comer is now uncovering the fact that what he had in his home was sensitive documents, way worse than what Trump had. So now Comer is looking at the Department of Justice and the State Department saying, we need to look in to see exactly what he had, and maybe charge Joe Biden for this. We knew this. We knew it. I mean, didn't you all know it all along that they were going to find these type of documents? Maybe this is to cut off anybody having government documents in their homes in the future. I don't think so. I think they're desensitizing us to where, let's say, the next Democrat that gets in office takes home all the sensitive material that could possibly hurt his next run to be kept secret. Now, that's what it looks like in conclusion for Biden with the documents they have found in his home and in his office. But in the meantime, we're hitting Trump up for this. Get on board, GOP. Boy, they're slacking. Boy, they're slacking. Now, Biden deputies have now been given the order that if loans aren't given to illegals by the banks, to look for indiscrepancy at the bank and possibly shut this bank down. Now, how dangerous? Why? He's got documents in his garage, but he wants the banks to give loans to illegals, whether they qualify or not. He said because they're starting over here, that they should start with a score of like 300 and go ahead and just give them a loan so they can get on their feet. Well, what about the money you promised them? If you would have given them what you promised, they wouldn't need these loans. But now they're even looking into the banks if the loans aren't given to the illegals. I seen this and I was like, oh, hell no. No. I mean, I've got family members that are in-laws that came, they studied, they took the test to become a citizen and very happy, and they're doing well. Why can't these migrants do this? It's been done with thousands of people coming in to Ellis Island the right way. Just tell them to do it right. And if they fail, you know what? Maybe you need to go study a little harder. Don't just give them bank loans. Are they going to? And the article doesn't even say whether or not they have to pay them back because Biden hadn't started on it yet. Ugh. I don't know. I was ready to break things this morning. The more I went through. This one here took a long time to pull up earlier. I think it's because they don't want me to know about it. Tyson plant workers discover dead body in the corn shipment. I don't mean to laugh, but they stuffed the corn with cocaine And then Tyson plant workers discover a dead body in their corn shipment. Really? It was a badly decomposed body found aboard a train that delivered corn to Tyson plant in southwest Arkansas on Monday. That's how I heard about it. It came here. I was like, they found what? Yeah, you didn't hear about that? No. There's another thing. Sarah Huckabee is now said Chinese that have farmland here in Arkansas, you got to forfeit it. Go. You're not going to have land in Arkansas. But now here we have a dead body unfolding in the shipment of corn on a train card. Um, what appeared to be a human arm was spotted unloading a chute beneath the car. Upon arrival, deputies opened the top of the grain car and found a human body wedged in the bottom. They gained access through the top of the car, lowering the cable through the car and moving a piece of metal away. Um, it, they said CPS kind of sort of reported on it, but it was, they found something in the grain. Well, tell the truth. It was a dead body. And then I was like, okay, see you later, canned corn. I don't know if I can eat corn now. If it was green beans, would y'all be eating green beans? You gonna eat the corn? How often does this happen that we didn't even hear about? It sounds funny, and sometimes they use it as jokes on movies, but a dead body in the corn. Who knows what this diseases the body had? The rail company said the train dropped off a shipment of beans in Mexico right before it was sent to Missouri. So now they don't even know if the beans of Missouri has been compromised. But they said in Missouri the train was loaded with corn too. Tyson has not yet issued a statement on the discovery of the man's body. The coroner of Arkansas State Crime Lab will conduct an autopsy to determine the man's cause of death. Time to find out why he was in the corn. Is this pre-corn where it's loose, or is this corn that's in the can, or corn on the cob? They don't say. Watch out. Watch your corn. And I mentioned Jinping and Putin. They shook hands. They kind of hugged, and Jinping and Russia, as they patted and hugged, said, "My dear friend." Um, they have got a connection now that we don't know about. And we might not know until later, 20, 30 years down the road, of their little connection that they've got right now. BRICS is one. It was the first trip outside of the Soviet Union for Putin, for his arrest in March, something in which impacted the travels to South Africa in August, while Jinping and others were in Johannesburg. Jinping and Putin are expected to hold lengthy formal talks. And this is Wednesday, not the short ones with the cameras, they say, but very long media coverage, but also very long meetings in private. What do they got to talk about? This is something we might have to address tomorrow on the World War III report, because what are they addressing? What are they talking about? We know Russia is now, according to even Zelensky, is winning the war of Ukraine. And now are they getting ready for Russia to help China to go after Taiwan? Is it, and get this, Putin even called Netanyahu, and Netanyahu said the phone call went okay. So I don't think Putin threatened him. I think Putin just called to be nosy. So we got lots of people that call just to be nosy. Children of the corn, William said. Something there, especially around Halloween time. I bet you that's what a lot of people are thinking is children of the corn. Um, Newsom had said, "Come one, come all. All Mexicans or South Americans come to California." Really? I think that the gentleman that was ready to go home, I think he needs to speak louder because the law will go into effect on January 1st for Newsom to invite more Mexicans to cross into the United States than there ever has. Got to be Mexican. So what does he want them for? That's been the question by so many and our politician is what is the purpose of millions of people coming into our country? It can't just be for work if everything's closed. You would have to start opening a lot of places right now with the amount that's come in. But unfortunately, big stores are closing. So, yeah, Newsom invites more Mexicans to cross into the border. There's a lot to offer in California, he said. Well, I beg to differ on that one. Now we have a deployment going over there. Now, we've heard Biden say that he was going to send 2,000 troops to Ukraine, but now U.S. Selects roughly 2,000 troops to deploy for support of Israel. And it looks like this one will go through. But they said it's only for basically handing out humanitarian aid. When did we ever um, have them be so trivial? Well, all of a sudden they have. If we're going to send 2,000 troops over to Israel, they need to be fighting for Israel and fighting for America. And because they have been chanting over there, death to Israel, death to America. And then they burned the American flag and the Jewish flag. And so sending over 2,000 troops for deployment for to support Israel. Let's not have them doing, don't hand out food trays. They need to be over there helping and fighting and giving a break to the Israeli soldiers. Uh, there's something wrong with this. And I'm really, I was, when I first seen it, I thought, what a great idea. And then I was disturbed by it. So when I started reading that they're just going to be there to hand out humanitarian aid. So why send them if they're not needed? If they're only needed for that, they can put the UN in charge of that. Why are we sending combat ready uniform Army, Navy, Marines? Why are we sending them over just to hand out food or aid? It doesn't make no sense. All right. Now they're starting to change these election boxes, folks. This is kind of cool. They're going to start changing the election boxes so you can only drop one ballot at a time. So if someone wants to stuff in a whole handful like they were, they can only feed them one at a time. And after so many, it's supposed to lock up. Now, is this invention actually going to go into effect before we vote? This is great news because DeSantis is the one supporting this, and it could be that as they go to drop off, let's say one or let's say two or three, it's not going to take it. It's like your card at the ATM. There's something stuck to it. It's not going to take it. Same thing. If you shove an envelope in there and there's two envelopes, no, you shove one in, it takes it. Um, More and more, I see this maybe happening. Not so much on this election, but the next election, you watch. Every machine is going to be like that. So if you're going to vote and you can't walk inside, take a look and see that it's one that takes it one by one. They say not all states are going to have them. Uh, I still got lots here, in a way. Um, Lawmakers to probe U.S. weapons sent to Ukraine. They were abandoned in Afghanistan and now are in the hands of Hamas. Now, they also said they're starting to see Iranian symbols on some of the missiles that are launched, but they say they're feeling they're finding out the information and getting told intel that U.S. weapons have fallen into the hands of terrorists, and it's our duty to investigate to find out what happened. Um, so they are sending them to the right people, but it was originally Iran giving it to third world countries. So we know they're doing it. Are we going to go after Iran? I don't think so. I think they're waiting for Israel to do something. Let me know what you think in the comments on that one, because it just something's fishy that's up. All right. The Bigfoot. Did you guys see that Bigfoot story? Well, someone increased it up and said, why is he wearing sunglasses? When did Bigfoot start wearing sunglasses? Now, according to the locals, there's a couple of families that love doing these kind of pranks. And they said it looks like they're markings of what they do. So, but we got the Smithsonian and we got antique dealers and Bigfoot hunters. Oh, this is it. This is the real one. Well, what did Mama used to say? Uh, don't count your chickens until they hatch. I think they're getting ahead of themselves on this. Okay. Uh, Now, as we all looked at Blinken over there, does anybody realize he was forced to into a bomb shelter twice in Israel during the Hamas rocket attack? Now, when I look at Joe Biden, I was like, this ain't a good idea. Almost sounds like something bad waiting to happen, and they planned it. Um, he won't even. It took him over a year to go to Ukraine, and it had to be safe in Kyiv before he went. Now, if Blinken, we can't even keep Blinken safe, are we going to be able to keep Joe Biden safe tomorrow? They said tomorrow. And what is he going to do? Well, he's supposed to be working out hostage deals. And we know that the hostages are down, some of them are down in the tunnels. What is Joe Biden going to say to reassure Israel that between them that they can get these hostages back? It's going to take a lot of part on Israel, and who cares? They hate Palestinians hate the UN, and they hate America. Death to America, they say. Boy, I hope I don't get in trouble for that. But that's what they chant. It's fact, and they burn our flag. So what happens when Biden goes over there? Probably nothing. Nobody really respects him. And Netanyahu is already talking to Putin. Shouldn't Joe Biden went over there before Netanyahu met with Putin? See, that was my thing. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. He's talked to Putin and hasn't even talked to Joe Biden yet. What's going on there? Is Putin getting um, Netanyahu to soften up against Russia? they're all, he's not killing Muslims, but, we know China is. Is, uh, is it that Israel kills Muslims because of Palestinians? Hmm. I want to look into that a little bit more. Um, but Blinken was forced into a cover twice since he's been over there, and then he left, and then he came back in. Um, none of that country is safe, and so I feel for I shouldn't feel for Blinken, but I do of going through this with him and his family. Um, And we're, as they are looking going to the end of the year into the budget, because the budget usually goes September. What they're looking is crime rate in blue cities, and the GOP is calling them out on it. And they say that these cities with the highest crime rates, that by some 100-fold, some 200 bold, and some are just 25% bold, but they prompted that this is done all by top Democrats that either have resources in these countries or in these states. And then we have SOROS that has interfered. And now they're starting to look into what he has done. Only because we have um, Democrat voters that are going to Congress and saying, this is what's going on in my little itty bitty town. That's the only way to fix it, maybe, or just vote them out. Um, and earlier I was saying that of there was confirmation that Palestinians are using their own people thrown up as roadblocks. Now, Breitbart has even said that the White House confirms Hamas is literally throwing up roadblocks to stop Palestinians from either leaving, evacuating, or humanitarian aid to move in. And it's very shocking to see this. And the other thing, they were showing pictures in the tunnels of babies. They got some babies, so the babies are still alive. And then a teenager that, I'm going to say teenager, but she could be in her 20s, that they sent a videotape on that was saying that um, she looked scared. And you know how they do. I'm okay. They're they're feeding me. They're taking care of me, and just do what they say. Well, we don't know how much of that is true. There was probably a longer statement than that, but we even seen with Vietnam. Some of them came over and they were just, oop, nothing there. They couldn't see anything. They couldn't hear anything for months. And we just agree and sympathize with the enemy. And that's what they're afraid of when these people come out and we release them as hostages. How are they going to act? How are they going to act? Or The Palestinians that Israeli has, will they act different? Will the ones head by Hamas? Of course, they're going to be different. They were tortured. But are they going to, because they were tortured and they're scared for their families, they're going to go with their side? Really? Miss Hollywood claims, yeah, they're all for Hamas, what they've done. More, we need to boycott the movies. Most of all, we got to check into our local governments to make sure they're not who they say they are. AG, your district attorney, your um, public defender, look into them, folks. So, anyway, that is it for today. And I didn't want to go this long. And I did get through most of the news and whatever's left. Me and William will have for tomorrow night's show. Going to be a big one again. And we hope you subscribe, hit the like button. And boy, I could probably talk on a lot of what's going on in between Ukraine and Taiwan and uh, Israel for a while. I kind of feel like William. I could just keep going to tell you guys info, but an hour goes by so quick. And there'll be more tomorrow and more on Thursday. As we are going in. This was day 11, I believe. This isn't over yet. It isn't over yet, and until um, Hamas keeps firing weapons, it's just going to keep going. Um, so, Iron Dome, do your thing. Subscribe, hit the like button, thumbs up, and do even a high five. And come on back tomorrow and watch William's show, but come back and watch Weather and Lifestyle News. I thank you all for your support, and we will see you tomorrow. Uh, and of course, boy, God bless.